Good evening. This is Terry Talaferro from Sacramento, 6:52 p.m. On the 20th anniversary of the 29th anniversary of the 20th anniversary. Classic Annie Production, Ltd. And I'm wearing my Annie shirt. I was not in the show on Broadway because my contract was terminated January 10th, 1997, and my last day was February 9th, 1997, and the show opened on this day in 1997. But I was present because my face was on the theater, and it was about this big. So I went to the show and I went to the cast party. It was a whole lot of fun. I'm glad I was there, but it seems to me that if they put my face on the theater, that I could be on the stage. Anyway, okay, so I'm continuing my reading of an essay that I wrote when I was a PhD student at the University of Arizona Global Campus on multiculturalism, anti-harassment, inclusion, and ethics, MAHIE workshop for theater actors, creators, and producers. I'm reading the second version, so musical theater and dramatic theater, and MAHIE training version 2, which was published, and I don't even know. I just uploaded it and published it in 2024. I can't remember. I can look it up, though. So I'm continuing from page 4 that I read on Facebook because I couldn't get this working. Importance of the study. The study itself and the results of the study, it doesn't say study in this, there are words missing, unfortunately, should lead to policy changes that will improve production, build relationships, and maintain the mental and physical health of ACPs who participate. ACPs are actors, creators, producers. To introduce ACPs to the MAHIE maze, the journey to the goal, in order to help them understand rehearsal processes in production and in life, and to know that circumstances in rehearsal, performance, and in life might require an ACP to embrace the journey and not necessarily reach the goal or goals. I embrace the journey, always, because I didn't reach the goal and will not. To introduce the multiculturalism, anti-harassment, inclusion, and ethics MAHIE workshop Taliaferro 2023 to actors, creators, and producers in productions across the country and in classrooms. To introduce, okay, so these are the goals. To introduce a production company workplace behavior grading system that will allow ACPs to determine the best place for them. So actors, creators, producers to create to have knowledge of the best environment in which they can work. It's healthy for them, not hostile for them or uncomfortable for them in any way, where they will succeed and thrive. To determine the best place for them to utilize their talents in the best, most supportive work environment. To protect the employment of the actors and maintain their contracts so that they are not terminated without just cause through opening night, if possible. Okay, so they get an opening night on Broadway. Like it may not be the opening night, but it would be like a preview. If they have to move somebody else into the role, then the actor that they drop on the road at least gets a week of previews, so they can put it on their resume that they made it there. Now, the costs associated with making it are huge. Now, more, unfortunately, they're so huge that you would think that all of your studying, with me, it's more experiential than it is study. Like, it's more experience. My experience, I don't have a musical theater degree, and I'm sort of a voice teacher hopper. So I've never really been with a voice teacher for longer than maybe a year. And I think I've been through a few now. So so that's made it difficult for me to improve upon the mix issues that I have between my chest and my head voice. And although it's improving, It's a muscle that needs to be consistently and constantly worked, which I have not done. So I think I was doing so more in preparation for the show, because I was actually working with a voice teacher in Carmel while I was anchoring the news, not knowing that I would be auditioning for Annie until much later. I was just keeping up my interest in the arts and in my voice. But anyway, okay, so to introduce ACPs to exercises that will help them understand the production and life circumstances that might lead them to embrace the journey and not necessarily reach the goal. Okay, so I'm repeating myself there just for emphasis. The study is important because it requires ACPs to come to an understanding about each other's roles in the show and how these roles should not lead to microaggressions, unconscious bias, discrimination, harassment, exclusion, or unethical decision-making in the process and performance of the production. It will also include a review of AEA regulations and federal laws that are in place to protect employees against verbal and sexual harassment and, excuse me, burping because I just had a pizza and some Pepsi, and other unwanted behavior during the production. Okay, next. If you're reading along, it's available on Amazon. It was a Kindle publishing, which I encourage people to use because it's pretty simple. You may not make that much money, but I don't think that's really, that's neither here nor there. If you want your work published and it's on your bucket list, then this is a good place to go. So it's under multiculturalism and anti-harassment, inclusion and ethics, MAHIE workshop for theater actors, creators, and producers, musical theater and dramatic theater, and MAHIE training version 2. So look for version 2, not version 1, because I rewrote the beginning because it was so. I wrote the intro and I was just like, this sounds like crap. If you read the difference, you'll see that it sounds a little bit better. But still, it's always a work in progress for me. Okay, so, which is probably not terminology I should use because the first time I saw it was, I'm not going to even say. Okay, so proposed research methodology. Qualitative and quantitative methods will be used in this research. The research will include the participation and observation of the MAHIE maze, blind journey to the goal, based upon a Psych 11 1984 class that I took when I was at Gunn. They were offering Psych in the 11th grade, so I took it. Followed by an interview with the ACPs. This might be a separate experience for the producers. So, you might not want to put the actors with the producers in this experience, in the interview process. A discussion about the goal maze, so the maze itself, and the more intense MAHIE workshop, Taifera 2023, followed by confidential lines of questioning, or a confidential line of questioning. I'm missing articles and whatever, of questioning by the researcher monitor who evaluates the value of the workshop and the maze in the workplace setting. The maze is a blindfolded experience where ACPs walk, crawl, dance, sing, and are blindfolded through a simulated maze or experience toward their goal in the initial rehearsal period. Okay, so it's just an exercise that I see being done maybe maybe not even in rehearsal. It's something that's done sort of outside of rehearsal before the rehearsal process starts. Just as an exercise. Okay, it's not. We crawled through the maze in 11th grade, blindfolded, but I don't know if that's necessarily appropriate in every setting. So I'm getting a flash of an image of a zip line experience, which I've never done. That sort of leadership training that people go out of the retreats that they go on where they're zip lining. I've never done zip lining and probably never will. But it's sort of that kind of, I mean, I don't think the fear would be as high because you're crawling on the floor, there's some stability there, like getting on a rope to fly across a bunch of trees at height that's absolutely insanely ridiculous when you're scared to death of heights like me. I don't even fly anymore. So this is a little bit more stable, I think. After the MAHIE training, the monitor follows the ACPs from the current show to the next show to determine whether the lessons learned from the MAHIE workshop and the MAHIE maze it's referenced, resulted in changes in the following categories: behavioral emotional intelligence, awareness, communication, empathy, tolerance, trust, and performance. I don't know why I put this reference here. Okay, so these weren't, I made an attribution here that's not related to my selection of the categories. Like that, those categories weren't a part of the Psych 11. Okay, so in 1984, I participated in the class exercise that requires students to crawl blindfolded on their hands and knees through a maze. Students stood outside of the maze, created with chairs and paper, as I recall. Other students in the class acted as guides for the student who was blindfolded and required to crawl through the maze to the end. So there are people standing up and telling the person which way to go. Some of the guides were directed by the instructor to assist the person going through the maze. So they were giving direction that was presumed to be truthful, trustworthy, and accurate. Others were directed by the instructor to trick the person going through the maze. Okay, so there's some deception going on. In the direction. And still others were required to say nothing. Okay, so there's nobody helping. And this is, I'm just going from memory now because 11th grade was a long ass time ago. Okay, so some students made it through the maze and reached the end. Others did not. And then I have a picture here of the maze without students, and I can barely see it in my screen, but that's basically kind of what it looked like. A student's ability to make it through the maze is dependent upon several variables, particularly the person selected to guide them. Okay. When considering a life maze or journey, there are those who lie and those who tell the truth, those who take money to assist in the telling of the lie or the truth, and those who don't. And there are also those who say they will assist and then decide to assist someone else. The person going through the maze can see the goal before they're blindfolded, but the maze can change. Okay, so that's another, like you think that getting to Broadway is a straight shot, and there are probably like 8,000 curves and turns and changes and whatever before you can actually get there, which may or may not have to do with you. Okay, there are barriers to reaching the finish line, the goal. Okay, in this exercise, the person attempting to reach the goal is required to rely upon upon whom he or she is hearing, their memory of how to get there, their instincts. Okay, so these are the things they're relying upon. The memory of how to get there, their instincts, and he or she must pay attention to the time to get to the finish line. Okay, so these were the factors, I think, in the original exercise. You can set a goal for yourself related to the time frame you hope to get to a particular location. I think I just looked up the other day, the oldest person that has made it to Broadway, I think, is in their 90s right now on Broadway. I think. It's been a while since I looked it up. Okay, but and I'm not sure what the average age is, but I'm pretty sure it's younger than I am right now. So I would be too old, too tired, and wouldn't make any money for any production. Okay, so this could be a good resource for exercises related to the realities of racism, multiculturalism, disability, ageism, homophobia, ethics, moral dilemmas, and career issues. Maze with students, the X's. Okay, so I put in, if you're looking at the essay available on Amazon, there is I've drawn the maze, and then the X's. I mean, it's really bad. I was on the Win, Lose, or Draw once, and my drawing was like the worst. They weren't going to select me. But the producer's like, you have such great enthusiasm, and I think you have a great presence, and you're just like amazing, but you can't draw. So, but I did end up getting selected, but it was like 6 or 7 weeks after I auditioned. So I was on with Vicki Lawrence. But the point I'm trying to make is this is the worst art ever. I am not an artist in any way, shape, or form. I'm a stick figure woman, and it shows right here. Okay, so finish. The maze and journey. The finish is the finish line. Okay, the maze and journey in which the musical theater ACPs will participate will be related to the maze above, with actors providing guidance to each other. So it's actually on the previous page, but they will be timed and need to follow direction. The creators and producers will participate in another similar maze in a separate room or at a separate time. So I'm trying to separate them. I don't know if that's really necessary. It might be more interesting to observe like how the actors make it through it, and then have the actors act like producers helping the actors. Helping the producers, having some knowledge of what a producer may have to face and reaching their goal. But I don't know if every actor has any knowledge of what a producer's job looks like. So anyway, the obstacles and hurdles each actor must experience along the journey will be introduced along the way. It is possible during the Multiculturalism, Anti-Harassment, Inclusion, and Ethics Workshop, Taliaferro 2023, that different hurdles will be introduced that may result in actors getting lost at the start or in the middle of the maze. The research will determine whether or not the actors were assisted on the way to their goal, whether they found their way without assistance, to which guides they listened, and how they handled their inability to reach the goal if they were unable to make it to the finish line. Okay, Taliaferro, Teresa L. 2023. Oh, it was published I published it on Academia. Multiculturalism, Anti-Harassment, Inclusion, and Ethics Workshop. I put in here, this work was published on academia.edu. It was my original proposal for research, and I defined the problem of practice for the research. For this proposal, I presented my Multiculturalism, Anti-Harassment, Inclusion, and Ethics Workshop, Taliaferro 2023, with a curriculum which is still being developed, and it still is. It's always in development. I talked about the proposal, which incorporated musicals and my own personal experiences with MAHIE, along with the rules and laws related to civil rights, Title VII and Title IX. And you guys can look those up. I'm not going to go into detail about them. Not right now. The purpose of the research is to determine whether or not a training and workshop to introduce some of the issues related to unconscious bias, discrimination, homophobia, and ethics will result in changes in policy and behavior in the classroom and in the business, a theater business, whatever business. The goal is to mitigate issues related to discrimination and in order to improve professional relationships between employees, to embrace differences between employees, to show empathy to employees who have challenges, to encourage participation that does not result in contradiction or reprimand, and to stop discrimination and harassment in the workplace. Okay. And I would say further in musical theater, I think there's always the issue of, if you don't make it to the goal, having someone on staff or being at least advised as to what the next step may be, because sometimes it can be a huge trauma. So offering options, or at least the assistance, in order to come up with a new goal, a new idea. I guess whether you run or you close, get another idea, sort of idea. Okay, so it says holding back the theater's resistance to non-traditional casting. Newman. He might be human. He's a human Newman. Volume 33, autumn 1989, pages 22 through 36, 15 pages. Okay, the reference to whether you run or you close, get another idea is from Martin Turnan's memoirs. Okay, so the Non-Traditional Casting Project, NTCP, examined the employment and use of actors, actresses of different races throughout the country to determine how the actors were used in productions around the country and whether they were cast in roles traditionally played by Caucasian actors. Equity's Ethnic Minorities Committee and the NTCP called itself a project because it hoped it would not be long-term. Okay, while the NTCP has made efforts to increase the casting of different ethnic groups and those with disabilities in non-traditional roles, comma, that's supposed to be a comma. The NTCP still questions whether meetings, forums, seminars may have been slowing those efforts. All talk and no action does not resolve or demonstrate the purpose of the theater. While some might argue, dude, this is like full of formatting and typos. For the, quote, artistic integrity of the production, end quote, anonymous, 1997. And I won't tell you who said that. It was, kind of an insult, though. Others would argue that the theater is a blank canvas and an exemplary location for colorful art. It is not news and does not need to mirror reality. In a fictional work, in particular, the possibilities for casting should be endless, and therefore the doors should be open to anyone. To ensure the success of the actors in the musical, whether or not it is non-traditionally cast, the proposal for the MAHIE maze, the journey to the goal, is necessary for the ACPs to, I don't know what I was trying to say here. Hold on one second. For the ACPs to discover who can assist them on the journey and realize what opportunities there might be to set other goals and hopefully succeed in reaching them. Okay, so if you don't make it, setting other goals, or even on the journey toward that goal, setting other goals to get there. Like, you need to work on this. You need to set the goal to work on this, because this is not going to help you reach your ultimate goal. So it's time to change demands to accommodate mental health in theater. Okay, so this is a quote, I think, from a stage. Oh, no, that's me. Okay, so I think. Okay, to accommodate mental health challenges in the theater. This resource, oh, no, this is the essay. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I read my own work and since I wrote this. It was years ago. So, okay. This resource looked at the mental health issues in the theater environment that affect actors in negative ways. The article noted situations in which actors were fired or had difficulty receiving an accommodation based upon their disabilities. I skimmed this article originally as a reference for further examination in the context of MAHIE and the MAHIE maze, the journey toward the goal. Knowing what accommodations are available within the theatrical community and within the production in which the actor is working will be helpful to the actors. This article showed that ADA accommodations are still only a vision and not a reality for many actors and others in the workplace. Research questions and hypotheses if study is quantitative. The research questions might include the following set of questions related to A to G above, based upon the MAHIE maze, the journey to the goal, which can be varied based upon the number of chairs used in the creation of the maze or the stops along the maze and other factors that simulate the life journey of an actor or actress on the stage. Okay, this is based upon Psychology 11, Exercise 1984, the maze. I was scared going through the maze. Okay, so these are the questions that are asked after going through the maze. I was scared going through the maze, blindfolded, 1 through 5. Okay, so 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest. I could not identify with the voices guides. Okay, so the people who I heard while I was crawling through it or walking through it or whatever. And somehow there was some sort of obstruction that didn't allow me to see the actor. Hopefully you're crawling, because you don't want to be walking and bumping into things. But you do that in life, but still, hopefully you're crawling if you're blindfolded. I was able to make a turn in the right direction based upon the person to whom I listened to, 1 through 5. I tested the person's voice by listening to each voice and acting upon each voice to determine if the voices were steering me in the right direction, 1 through 5. I trusted one voice and it misdirected me, 1 through 5. I trusted different voices along the journey and they misguided me, 1 through 5. I was confused by the direction and no one guided me, 1 through 5. I finished the maze and reached my goal, 1 through 5. I learned how to find my way on my own and did not listen to the person or persons who guided me, 1 through 5. I hit a roadblock and could not go further, 1 through 5. I paid attention to the time as I moved through the maze, 1 through 5. I ran out of time as I was journeying toward my goal, 1 through 5. I wanted to go farther toward my goal, and I was upset when I did not reach my goal, 1 through 5. I was not guided when I could not reach my goal, 1 through 5. I may have set too high a goal, 1 through 5. When I reflected back on the persons who were supposed to help me reach my goal and looked at the turns in the maze toward my goal, I realized no one guided me, 1 through 5. I needed support over the mountain section of the maze, and I could not find support, 1 through 5. The mountain could be just like the biggest biggest problem or biggest obstacle or biggest, I don't know what it may have been, the most challenging part of the maze. There was a time when I was crawling blind through the maze and I heard no one and could not navigate my way through the section 1 through 5. There were too many people talking at me. There were too many at me. There were people talking at me. There were too many people talking at the same time in an attempt to guide me through the maze, and I could not find the voice I trusted to assist me to my goal, 1 through 5. I trusted myself through the maze, but I was unable to reach the goal, 1 through 5. The person designated to be my guide through the maze is not someone I trusted, 1 through 5. I was guided toward another goal in the maze, but I did not reach the goal, 1 through 5. I thought I could trust the person I heard guiding me through the maze, but I ran into a wall, 1 through 5. I misunderstood someone who may have been helping me through the maze, 1 through 5. The people helping me through the maze had bad intentions and only wanted to help themselves through the maze, 1 through 5. I had a chance to try again to go through the maze, but I had no supporters and ran out of time. I was on the journey through the maze. That was supposed to be 1 through 5. I was on the journey through the maze, but was told to do something I couldn't do. So I'm sorry, I was reflecting back on the previous one. So I'm going to reread this one. I was on the journey toward the maze, but was told to do something I couldn't do. So I didn't make it through the maze, 1 through 5. That's sort of a moral dilemma one. Hold on. Or something else. It could be just something else. I learned that when I did not make it through the maze to the goal, I needed to get another idea. Toronto, 1997, 1 through 5. Something terrible happened on the journey, and I was told I could not go through the maze again without being hurt, 1 through 5. MAHIE Workshop Training, Taliaferro, 2023. Did you learn something new about the cast member's multicultural or ethnic background that you didn't know before that changed your attitude about them and made you either want to get to know them more professionally or not? Okay. Did you understand the laws pertaining to civil rights, harassment of all kinds, LGBTQ rights, ageism, ADA rights before you took this training? Did you spend time outside of the MAHIE Workshop, Taliaferro 2023, getting to know any ACPs? Describe the type of musical theater environment in which you enjoy working. Describe the ideal of, quote, safe, end quote, working environments in musical theater. Include your opinions, experiences related to multiculturalism, anti-harassment, inclusion, and ethics in your amateur and professional career. These are some of the questions that will be included in the dissertation project. There will be a larger list later that will be assessed and evaluated by the researcher to compile and create grading terminology that will assist actors in determining the best environments in which to work, which I mentioned earlier. And then I have a whole list of references, which I read most of, or almost all of, in the reading of this work, my work. So you're welcome to look them over in the Multiculturalism, Anti-Harassment, Inclusion, and Ethics MAHIE Workshop for Theater Actors, Creators and Producers, Musical Theater and Dramatic Theater, MAHIE Training Version 2 by Terry Taliaferro, me. And if you have any questions, please leave them here. I hope you have a good night. It's been 29 minutes and 16 seconds. So I'm going to sign off. And that is all for now. My shirt is like, whatever. This is the shirt. I'll just say this. For the 20th anniversary Classic Annie production, there were like, I don't know. I think I have 3 shirts. I can't even remember now. 3 or 4 shirts. But anyway, this is one. And I can't remember where this was given. I probably have a note on it somewhere. I don't think this was in Houston. I don't think this was a Houston shirt. It was somewhere else on the tour. Okay. Have a good night.